Good evening, friends. Karma here with Lewis Acre Farm with your thought for Thursday. As you know, I have been really struggling the last couple of weeks. This is a very difficult time of year for me. And I've been struggling to make my videos and it's just really struggling all the way around. I've had a lot of things happen and it's the time of remembering my mom, my friend, both of whom have passed at this time of year. And it seems like every time I turn around, something is reminding me of death, dying, loss, failures, feelings of abandonment, just everything negative. And I've been really struggling to find the joy. Last week I talked to you about finding joy and letting joy be your spiritual nightlight. And that's been really, really difficult for me. I've had the kittens that have been a source of joy for me, but even that has been hard because Caroline, the mama of these kittens, has been taking off with them and just disappearing for days. And it's so cold here now that I worry about them. And I noticed one of them, she's back again. She's been back for a day or two. And I noticed one of them has what looks like a cold in her eye. Another one looks like it might have gastric upset of some sort. I'm not positive. I can't get close enough to the kittens to handle them and check them. But I was watching some of the channels that I've subscribed to and looking for sources of encouragement. And I found that today in one channel in particular. I found a lot of encouragement there. And, it's always in God's timing. Everything is in God's timing. There's always a right time for everything. Let me turn this around and let you watch the kittens play. So, what I've found is there's always going to be things that happen in our lives that, we don't need to watch that. There's always things that are going to happen in our lives that are going to be obstacles that we have to face. And we're always going to be challenged. And God's always got our back. And while we may not see it, we may not understand, we may not know what's in store. God's timing is perfect. Today I was leaving the house and hurting deep in the pits of my soul, and just longing to feel God close. I needed to know that God was there and God was close. God knows our heart. He knows what we need. And He knows the perfect time to reach out and give us exactly what we need. So I was driving down my driveway and my daddy called. Folks, my dad doesn't call me very often. We used to live a mile apart, if you drive it. We were 5 houses apart. If you could walk through neighbors' yards, we were 5 houses apart. But if you had to drive it, we were a mile apart. My dad now lives 2 states away, and I don't get to see him, except for a week out of every year, if I'm lucky. My daddy called me today, and the only reason he called me was to tell me that he loved me and he missed me. My God did that for me. My God gave me that. Because that's not something that my daddy does. My daddy doesn't call just to say I love you. But my God gave me that right when I needed it most. Now, my dad loves me, and I know he loves me. And he tells me he loves me. But he doesn't call just to tell me he loves me. But today he did. And it brought to mind a scripture that I want to share with you. That I'm sure everybody is familiar with. And it's found in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, beginning in verse 1 through verse 8. And I'm going to be reading it in the Amplified version. And it says, "There is a season, a time appointed for everything, a time for every delight and event or purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up as lost, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear apart and a time to sew together, a time to keep silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." Right now, we're moving into winter, and you can look around at every one of my garden beds, and they are pretty much empty, and I've put them to bed for the winter. There's a few things still in there, but they're pretty much done. And it's the season for things to die, to go dormant, to let the soil rest. It's a season for death, if you will. But then comes spring. Spring is a time of life and new birth, a time of growth. Right now is my season for mourning, but I will have joy again. I will have laughter again. And talking to my daddy today was a time to remember that I'm loved, not just by my daddy here on earth. Yes, I'm almost 54 years old and I still call my dad Daddy, because I love him and he loves me. And I am learning to embrace my Father in heaven as Abba, Father. Abba is like calling God Daddy. Abba, Father, Daddy, Father. And I'm learning to embrace God as my Father, my Daddy. And Understand him as a loving father, just like my dad here on earth is my daddy. He's my daddy father. And when you can come to understand that God is your daddy and he wants just the best for you, you'll understand that he really will give you the very best. And if that means giving you a phone call from your daddy, if he's still around, if that's what you're needing, maybe it's a phone call from a friend to encourage you. He'll give you that. He'll give you exactly what you need when you need it, at the precise moment that you need it. When you're in the pits of despair, God will lift you up, just like he's doing for me right now. Yes, this is a dark time in my life, but it won't be dark forever. He will lift me up. So just remember that there is a season for everything. So just like we have seasons of change in the natural realm, even in the spiritual realm, there is a season of change. Just hold on. Stay strong. And things will change. Things will get better. This is Karma with Lewis Acre Farm and your Thought for Thursday. Be blessed.